Wednesday, November 5th, regular meeting of the Chicopee School Committee. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with open meeting law, we are right now recording and live broadcasting this meeting. Is anyone in the audience doing that? Anyone recording or broadcasting this meeting? Seeing none. Any of our members joining us remotely? It looks like we have everyone here in person, so thank you. At this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence. We'll observe that for all those who serve in the military and for all those who protect us. Thank you. Could we have a roll call of board attendance, please?
Mayor View.
Here.
Ms. Russo.
Here.
Mr. Barcelo.
Present.
Mr. Doubt.
Here.
Mrs. Perrette.
Present.
Mrs. Schofield.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Lamoth.
Here.
Mr. Gerard.
Here.
Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Mrs. Lopes.
Present.
Dr. McCarthy.
Present.
12 present.
Thank you. Public announcements by committee members. I'll start to my left with the Vice Chair, Don Lamoth.
I'd like to congratulate all those that were elected to the positions that they're now in, and the gentleman, Ray Nazaro, is replacing me.
All set?
Yes.
Oh, Sonny Brooks.
I would like to take the time to congratulate the Chicopee High School soccer team, which is playing their first playoff game tomorrow night at Zott Park. And I would hope as a city and a community.
Tonight.
Oh, it's tonight.
It's right
My
now.
apologies. Right now?
It's 2-2.
Okay, I have been corrected. Go Chicopee Pacers.
All set, Sonny?
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Mark McCarthy.
Just a quick thank you for all the poll workers that were out supporting the elections yesterday, and sort of an aspirational, let's hope to get above 14% in off-year elections as a community, turning out to the polls. And looking ahead to next week, just wanted to make mention of Veterans Day coming up and give a thank you to my colleague, Sonny Brooks, and all the other veterans in the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Susan Sotelo-Lopes. And Grace Schofield. And Doug Gerard.
Thank you, Mayor. I also would like to thank the voters who came out yesterday, especially the Ward 8 voters. Come January, I will be shifting offices from school committee to the city council. And I would like to thank all my colleagues here for a great 6 years. Also, congratulations to Mrs. Perrette on her new hard-earned position, and to the Chicopee High School boys soccer team for their championship, Western Mass Championship. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sandra Perrette.
Yes, a thank you to everyone who went out to vote yesterday as well, and thank you to the veterans that we will honor on Veterans Day next week. And Sonny, thank you for your service to this country and to all the other veterans in our community. And just a reminder to everyone, with the time change, to please be careful as we're backing out of our driveways or driving down the street, to watch out for any children that might be crossing the street or walking the sidewalks or too close to the road, because it does get dark sooner. So thank you.
Thank you. And Deanna Russo.
I'm all set, thank you.
And Jay Doubt.
All set this evening, thank you.
And Ron Bernard.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to put a thank you out to all the voters in Ward 9 for having their faith in me to give me another opportunity to serve them. It's an honor to do that for this next term. I do also want to have a shout out for Mr. Scott Chapdelaine, our Director of Maintenance. We had a little issue there at Bowie School with the preschool play area, and he assured me that he's on it and he will be taking care of that, hopefully weather permitting, before winter strikes. So all of you people who have children going there, you can be confident that Mr. Chapdelaine will be taking care of that. Thank you again, Mr. Chapdelaine.
And David Barcelo.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank the voters in Ward 2 for returning me to office. Even though I didn't have an opponent, I want my constituents to know that I do not take this position for granted, and I've always worked very hard. And I just wanted to send out the message again that if you ever have any questions or concerns about anything, please give me a call. I will get back to you right away. And also, I'd like to mention that, like the rest of my fellow committee members, we've all gotten plenty of emails from teachers and paras and school department employees who are very concerned about the contract situation. And I just want you all to know that every single email message that you send me, I read and I take to heart. And I feel it's difficult for me as a former teacher going through contract negotiations. I can feel your pain. I know exactly what you're going through, and I just want you to know that you have my full support, and I care. I just wanted you to know that, and that's why I wanted to throw it out there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, David. I also want to take a moment to recognize our school committee elect members who are here. Diane Trella is here. Bob Canton is here. And I want to also congratulate Sue Lemieux and Ray Nazaro are going to be joining us as school committee members come January. And for everyone, congratulations on your re-elections, and looking forward to continue the progress we're making here as a school committee. I really will say I'm a little biased, but I do believe we have one of the most or the best school district in Western Mass, if not the Commonwealth, and we have a lot of pride here, and we're going to continue to mold those minds and offer that, what I'll call is, I was going to call it a world-class education, but it certainly is a top-notch education that you can get right here at Chicopee Public Schools, and I believe that it has a lot to do with leadership. And on that note, I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Marcus Ware.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, and I echo the sentiments of the school committee. I also just want to put out there, I know we are waiting to hear the results for Chicopee High, but Chicopee Comp also has some accolades as well. Their football team will be participating in the send-off. And I'm going to give a shout out to the mayor's office for coordinating with Chicopee Comp on Friday as they go off and play their play. They are undefeated, so they have had a really good season. And so both of our, we have some really good team sports action going on right now, but I want to give a shout out to the football team at Chicopee Comp. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you. So public input. Speakers shall identify themselves with their name and address. There will be a time limit of 30 minutes or 3 minutes per individual speaker. Topics of discussion should be limited to those items within the school committee's scope of authority. The chair of the meeting, after the warning, reserves the right to terminate speech which is not constitutionally protected because it constitutes true threats that are likely to provoke a violent reaction. Questions asked by the public may be referred to the committee or administrative staff for consideration and a later response. We have one person signed up for public input, Jennifer Goonan. Jennifer, welcome. How are you? You could come up to either one of the two microphones.
Hi, y'all.
Hi.
Gotta keep it under 3 minutes, huh? Gotta talk fast. So my child is in one of you guys' schools, and
I'm sorry, you just have to identify yourself with your name and address.
Jennifer Gooden, and I live in Chicopee. I don't want to give my address. Sorry, it is in Chicopee, I promise. I actually have two daughters in the Chicopee Public Schools, and one of them is in middle school, one is in elementary school. Now, my elementary school student, I bought this watch so she could wear it. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's called a gizmo under Verizon, and it has something that's called school mode. So she cannot access anything on it at all except the time, and she is being told to take this off. And I don't understand why. Now, I was told I had to come to you guys to review the policy that the electronic device thing is under, and the excuse I was given to why she has to take it off is because parents can turn off school mode from their cell phones. I value my child's education. I would never do that. Why I find this important is because it has an SOS button on it. You guys can't guarantee my child's safety, and I know that is, I'm not blaming that on you at all. That is just the way of the America today. And that SOS button, I am 30 minutes away already at work, and that would give me time to get to the school to know that my child is safe. I have already set my middle school child up with Life 360 with a tile with an SOS button because she has severe anxiety of a shooter coming into the school. I do not want to scare my 7-year-old, but allowing her to have a button to push to alert me if there's an issue is super important, and I'm trying not to cry, and I'm so sorry. If you guys want to view what school mode looks like, I can put it on, and you can see what it can do and what it can't do, if that is an option. That's why I made her take it off and give it to me today. Anybody? Do you want to see it? Okay.
I'm sorry, we're not allowed to take questions and answers back and forth. You're allowed 3 minutes of your public input, and you can share what you'd like to share with us.
Now, I spoke to Mrs. Auclair, and I spoke to Carol something or other. I can't remember her last name. I apologize. And they said to come to you guys, and they said that they cannot get rid of that policy. And I said, I sign a cell phone policy for my middle school student. Why can't I sign a policy for this? Elementary school students, this totally falls on the parent if it comes out of school mode. It does not fall on the child. And I am willing to sign whatever you want, saying that I will not take it out of school mode. And I know other parents who couldn't be here today because of the pathways at Chicopee High tonight for their children, and they said that they would sign anything to make sure that their child could keep their watch on their wrist to make sure that they have an SOS mode. And I believe that's all I have for you because I'm not an elegant speaker, and I apologize for that.
You did great. Thank you.
Okay.
So I have breaking news that I have to share with everyone in our viewing audience. The Chicopee Pacers have won 3-2 in overtime. Congratulations to the Chicopee High boys. And I believe they will continue to play another home game coming up on Saturday. Time to be determined. So congratulations again to the Chicopee Pacers. That concludes public input. Visitors, Dr. Marcus Ware. Your superintendent goals for 2025, 2026. That's good news. Thank you.
We spent a lot of money on like a paper.
I believe Mary Coburn's coming around with the copy, so just in case if the two screens are, so you can follow along. While Mary's passing that out, I would like to let the viewing public know, as well as members here in the audience, is that last evening, the subcommittee for my evaluation committee, which is Ms. Schofield, Mr. Bernard, and Ms. Perrette in absentia, actually went through this line by line with me, and I promised them that it would be in a presentation format, is what you see on the screen now. So everything that was in a line-by-line format has been transferred into a PowerPoint. I'm going to go through it goal by goal, and then I will leave questions at the end for anyone who may have them. So we'll start here. This is actually the Grin Spoon nominees from 2 years ago. So I try to use pictures from the district and not the ones AI gives me. So you may see some in here, but these are our teachers who were nominated in the past. So the strategic vision outlines my goals for this upcoming 2025-2026 school year, and I would like to let everyone know there is a typo on the first page. The evaluation period runs from July 1st to June 30th of 26. It says June 30th on the front. It's captured here correctly. And each goal is aligned to the strategic priorities which were outlined in the plan that you approved in late spring. And so what you're going to see is literally goals, the explanation of those goals, a little bit of the action plan, and then a summary of next steps and how I will capture evidence, produce mid-year check-ins, as well as I call the end-of-the-year dashboard, or I submit my evidence to the subcommittee in which eventually you will rate me again in accordance to these goals that I set forth. So just a general reminder for the school committee and the public is that we have our strategic priorities, 5 of them. The first is caring, respectful places to learn. Second is empowering and valuing students, educators, and staff. Third is academics that inspire. Fourth is family and community connections. And fifth, and last but not least, is effective operations and equitable resources. This is a nice reminder because as you see each goal, you'll see that it lays the groundwork for where each goal lays in this in connection with the strategic plan. So number 1 is up on the screen. As many educators are in the room, they recognize this terminology. By June 30th, 2026, 100% of our schools will implement a school-wide effort to promote the core values belonging, joy, respect, and growth, which are the core values in the plan, resulting in measurable increases in student and staff sense of belonging and inclusive culture. As you may recall, these 4 values were voted upon by the steering committee and the greater public who participated in the actual making of the plan. And so this is where we start, where one of my goals is laid in making sure we continue the work in creating caring, respectful places to learn. Some of those actions you'll see listed below. The timeline may fluctuate because, as you may recall, you just evaluated me, so now we're in the month of November, so some things have been adjusted to reflect that things have started, meaning I've been already working towards certain goals, but also there are certain key next steps that have other timetables to them, so you'll see here on the screen. So in December, I launched a school district-wide survey to collect a baseline for belonging and respect. That is basically laid in for the viewing public. We do a lot of surveys already. One of them is the Panorama survey, in which we actually get some baseline data we've been running for a couple of years now, where we ask specific questions around belonging, respect, and other methods and that people perceive as being respectful or belonging in our community, and I'm adding respect and growth to that. So what I would like to do is actually take that information and continue to run with it to see how self-reported adults and students are feeling in the community around these 4 values. One of the things that I also would like to do is that I actually would like to work with the principals, so that's the next step down here in January, where we are taking an audit of what measures are being done in schools around these 4 core values. So if I actually spoke with a principal, I had a conversation with one today, and I asked, what are you doing to promote these 4 values? It's not uncommon to hear a principal to give one response and then have another principal give another response, another, because again, this is a new plan. So my goal is to take that as baseline data and then be able to actually work with them, give them feedback, and then actually work on the next piece, which is producing professional development and working around inclusive pedagogy and culturally responsive practices around these 4 core values so that staff can actually attend different sessions or PD to actually promote these core values, as well as students can do the same thing. And last but not least, I actually want to lean heavily on student voice, which you see peer voice councils, which are up and running in a lot of our schools. However, I know there are some schools that have had a little bit of an ebb and flow to their councils, and I want to make sure that I support them to get them all up and running so that we can actually get continue to get their voice, as well as staff as well. I know that we have LPAC, and I also know that we have CPAC, and I also know that we have the principals advisory groups that ebb and flow through our district. What I'm saying is I want all of these up and running. So I'll be working with the principals to support them, to get them up and running so we can support their voices. And you will hear at the end of the year how those efforts have gone. So again, this is goal 1, to really go through a comprehensive I would say, experience to work with the schools to really promote these 4 goals and do the key actions to help promote that. Key actions are not just limited to what you see on the screen, but I just wanted to make sure that I outline 4 major steps that I will be doing in addition to other things that I'll present to you at the end of the year. So some of the success metrics, because that was one piece of feedback that the school committee has given me about metrics. And so here you'll see the statements, I feel I belong and I feel respected by staff. These are connected to the actual surveys that we give out through Panorama, but as well as other surveys that I want to create. So what I'm hoping to see is that staff by increase of 10% and students by increase of 10% will report that they feel a much more sense of belonging, more sense of feeling respected, as well as saying that they can speak to those things in depth by taking anecdotal data, as well as I would like to have some semblance of a plan by the end of the year where I'm saying schools are going to embed this in their school improvement plans for the following couple of years, where we are working on these core values all the time. So there will be a comprehensive plan where all the schools will actually have that embedded in their school improvement plans for the 26-27 school year. Number 2 is empowering and valuing students, staff, and educators. By June 30th, 2026, the district will increase activities by 25% from the previous year to boost staff morale and expand leadership opportunities across grades pre-K through 12 by 25% from the previous year. So this is a bifurcated goal here. One, I'll start with the staff. And so one of the pieces of feedback that came through the strategic plan, as well as different groups that work with the central office, is that even though we do actually have multiple opportunities for Unit A, teachers, Unit E, paraprofessionals, Unit B, support administrators, there are groups we do not target. So that's Unit D, clerks, and then we have the USCW side of the house. So that's custodians, nurses, food service workers, and nurse techs. And so there are multiple groups that make up our community, and the professional development should be designed to support them as well. So this is about the empowering of all of our staff, including those that do not sit in those 2 unions. And so what I'm saying is I want to look at what we currently do and increase that by 25% to give them the opportunity to participate in those different activities in professional development so they do feel like they're being heard and we do support the work that they do in our district. I'm also saying that I want to support leadership opportunities for our students in pre-K to 12 because one of the things that our student voices had talked about were different opportunities that they would like to see that promotes their thinking, their learning, their experiences in the Chicopee Public School system. And again, I'd like to take what we currently do and expand that. I will give you the actual activities, and then by the end of the year, you should see a 25% increase in where students actually are participating in these things, as well as our staff. What I'm hoping to see is that by offering these, that staff will self-report back and say, yes, thank you for actually offering that, and or yes, thank you for just thinking of us in a PD that you already offer. For an example, one of the PDs that we offer is around emergency preparedness active shooter. There's more than teachers, more than paras that we should be offering that training to. So what does that look like, sound like? We're going to work on it, but those are the things that I want to address by actually outlining this goal. And so one of the things that was very, very revealing is that staff have reported not feeling good, right? Our morale in some places can improve. So I'm moving past just the recognition days where it's teacher recognition, principal recognition. So I'm looking at other ways to actually include them, thank them, show that we are appreciative. And so hopefully you will hear about the self-report and those percentage increases so that we actually know that what we're doing is working and making them feel valued and empowered. Number 3 is academics inspired. This is a meaty one, so I'm going to take my time here. Academics that inspire by June 30th, 2026, the district will increase the percentage of students engaged in learning, student choice, technology-rich experiences, and raise student academic growth in ELA mathematics by 5% as measured by internal benchmark system. I'm going to stop there for a second. You may recall, and Ms. Belleville is going to be presenting to you shortly, that MCAS is no longer a part of our competency determinations. One of the things I've been leaning heavily on is maximizing the information that we get from our internal benchmark systems. So that's our MClass data, our DIBELS data, and other SAT, formative, summative assessments, etc. So what I'm basically saying here is that I'm folding in the 5 priorities that you heard me say in the past, and I'm saying that I'm going to focus on all students showing a growth increase in mathematics in the district and ELA by 5%, as measured by these internal benchmarks, because the other thing about MCAS is we don't get our actual results until the fall, which is a little late. So I would like to have the benchmarks that we get in the spring, be able to look at that data and to be able to show a supportive evidence to say that our students are growing in this area, or there's still areas that we need to beef up. So that's the first part of this goal. The second part of this goal is still taking the 5 priorities and folding them into the strategic plan, where we talk about students with disabilities and multilingual learners. You heard me say in the spring that we still have work to do in this arena. So what I did here is my goal is to target beyond 5%. So meaning 5.1% and up. And the reason why I strategically did that is because we're doing a lot of activities behind scenes around our students with disabilities, especially in our secondary schools. Right now, Dr. Stolar and her team are actually looking at the service delivery models, because we have already learned that our students with disabilities are not performing the way we'd like them to. So what I am putting out here is I'm pushing the envelope a little bit more and say I would like to see a bigger growth here with students with disabilities and multilingual learners. Last but not least, if the students are not here, we can't push them. So chronic absenteeism is folded into this goal, in which you may understand that one of the big state initiatives is decreasing chronic absenteeism, which I'll remind everyone, we did celebrate those wins this past spring, but we want to continue to work in that direction. The state is still measuring us against pre-COVID expectations, and we're not there yet. So one of the things that I am proposing here is the decrease by 1% from the previous year, and 1.5% with students with disabilities and MLL groups. Again, these two groups have the higher chronic absenteeism rates running in our district, and I'm just saying that I'd like to put the efforts a little higher on that group. So here is where this gets even more meatier. Down below, some of the key actions that are probably hard to see on the screen. One of the things that Ms. Belleville's department is doing is around, when I say an instructional audit, is we currently are looking at our curriculum and all our platforms to make sure that they are in alignment and producing the data that will be useful for us. So in the instructional audit here is that some of this is Ms. Belleville's department, some of it is actually when we task it out to a third-party vendor. However, we know that we have the opportunity to build deeper learning, or what we call thinking classrooms, which is another concept that's big in education right now, where we want to pilot some of these things in schools. We're working with principals to actually have them pilot some of these ideas, and then we want to track those students' academics to see, hey, did it work or did it not work? So you'll see that from the audit, I'm proposing that we pilot some of these different types of projects for learning, embed them in different schools, and then also use the data to see how the students do once we did some of those deeper learning initiatives in our buildings. As well as another thing that the school committee is probably very much aware of is also the expectation from the state to really make time for teachers to collaborate, so that this deeper learning and that other things such as project-based learning or anything around that, so our kids can get a deeper dive into their academics, that we are building schedules around force teachers to have collaborative time or PLCs, so that they can actually have the time to work together, talk curriculum, as well as plan out some of these deeper learning initiatives for our students. Last but not least, quarterly monitoring is in there. I am working with Ms. Belleville, and also on the other side of the house, Ms. Cruiser. I look at the data frequently, and we look at it to see what's it telling us. So what you should hear in February is me taking some of this data and actually telling you what I'm seeing from our fall and our winter benchmarks, and so to see if I'm on track or not. So again, this is just a summary page about our ELA and math growth, what I'm holding myself to, as well as students with disabilities and multilingual learners, and then the attendance piece. The attendance initiatives, as you know, I give shout outs to the FACE department, which is under Ms. Cruiser, and they do some tremendous work with the attendance teams in all of our schools, where I'm feeling very hopeful that we can actually reduce by 1 percentage point, as well as 1.5. And if not, I'll be able to explain to you why and what happened. Number 4 is by June 30th, 2026, under Family and Community Connections, the district will increase family and community engagement by 20% from the previous year and establish at least 2 new substantially partnerships and initiatives supporting student learning and well-being. This is something that came up shining through the strategic plan about our family and community partnerships and what opportunities we have for our students, which is kind of connected to also number 1. However, what's specific here is about really targeting local businesses and nonprofit enrichment programs and local colleges and universities to really beef up our efforts or continue the efforts where we can offer our students unique experiences so that it actually builds their understanding of our community partners, and our community partners actually look forward and really want our students to be in their organizations, to be in the universities, and also to increase like dual enrollment work or other learning opportunities for students who need other non-traditional pathways so that they can feel some sense of success. One of the things that I really am looking forward to doing here is also opening up a segment and working with the FACE department, which they do well already, and really looking at our family workshops to help build learning for our families so they can support their loved ones, which are the young people in our buildings, so that they can actually feel like they can support beyond the traditional math and ELA that they probably are used to, where they can dive a little deeper into like science, social studies, and our other subjects that are equally as important. So what I'm saying here is that I would like to increase this engagement by 20% and measure what we've done previously in the previous year, and then also look at, I want to have at least 3 workshops where I'm telling you what those topics were, when they happened, what was the result, and what impact it had on our community by June 30th of 2026. As you know, the internet does not sleep. This is a picture that's showing the mayor with, yes, that's you, Mayor. And so where we are always working our community partnerships, and I know he knows, this is just a nice summary page to remind everyone that 2 should be a 3, so that's a typo there, 3 partnerships, 20% increase. And then I also am really saying that through our surveys on our panorama where we ask our families, do they feel connected to Chicopee Public Schools? It was in the 40s. So I'm being very, very shooting the pie in the sky by saying 75%. If I don't make it, I'm fine with that, but I really am trying to get at least a 20-25% jump in families saying that, yes, we do feel a connection with Chicopee Public Schools. Last but not least, effective operations and equitable resources under goal number 5. By June 30th, 2026, the district will complete a comprehensive resource equity audit and present a 3-year resource allocation plan aligned with strategic priorities. As you know, in budget season, we've already communicated with you that we are working all the time to produce a needs-based budget. You hear us say it all the time, and this doesn't change. What I'm proposing here, and Mr. Mayerecki and Ms. Green already know this, that one of the next steps is looking at an audit of those 2 departments and looking at what we do in those departments, people roles and responsibilities, and then see what the audit actually says. But outside of that, I would like to look at where our resources are going with a more scrutinous eye, as well as when we say needs-based budget, we have specific needs going on in our schools due to facilities, due to staffing needs, due to student needs, and they do range throughout our 15 schools. One of the things that the principals are hearing from me and the team all the time is really try to capture what is going on in your schools and how it translates into the budget. Because the budget season for us starts in 2 weeks, where we're going to start our meetings with principals, and we want principals to understand that what has been practiced in the past with a high level of funds is no longer the case. So the case you should be making is one around what your building is showing that it needs, and here's the data to back it up. Along with the audit, the one thing I would like to produce is to, by the end of spring, is to speak to how we really looked at certain needs in at least 3 buildings, if not more, and really say, this is how we paid attention to the budget and really align the resources with a level of specificity outside of just saying it's needs-based. I want to be able to say, this is why we actually said we increase 25% X here or decrease by 10% here. That's going to be a huge undertaking. I know John is nervous as I'm talking. However, I have faith in the department over there because it's a crucial next step as we are talking about fiscal uncertainty when it comes to the federal level, as well as other things. The other thing I'd like to propose is that the 3-year plan, which would be in the second year of the strategic plan, is purposeful and intentful, and here's why. I want our budget to look years out. I don't want to just be looking into getting us through year by year. It's a nauseating feeling to really even say that, but in order to do that, there's certain things that I still need to get a grasp on, and I know John and I have had this conversation ad nauseum to actually talk about the functions of what our side of the house does, and then also how we work with the city. So this audit will help elucidate a lot of those little nuances that I need to understand, and then I would report back to all of you to let you know how we are using that information to move forward. The key word here for me is equity, and that's something that is not it's not what we've practiced. So for me, equity is really giving people what they need. And I understand that there's a conversation all the time about, well, you know what, that's not fair, but we need to talk about equitable. And so that's what I'm trying to get to by doing this audit, and also coming up with a plan that we can try to stick to so we are not always reactionary versus planned and really sustaining a budget that's healthy. So this is a summary page of how I plan to do my monitoring reporting. And this is also a page in which I explained to the subcommittee last evening, Ms. Schofield and Mr. Bernard, where I actually explained, even though I just presented those 5 goals to you, which are meaty goals, of course, than they should be, these are other things that I'm doing because the 4 standards by the state of Massachusetts says I need to. So I need to continue with leadership coaching for myself and my team and make sure that I'm supporting them to make effective decisions and data-driven decision-making. I need to continue to model these values because we have Domain 4 professional culture in our schools, as well as really continue to look at the way we use data and how we make decisions in our in our district, so that it really can speak to the healthy operations, which is Domain 2 from the state of Massachusetts. So what you see here is my professional commitment under the 4 standards from the state of Massachusetts, coupled with the 5 goals coming out of our strategic plan. And here is just a monitor and reporting summary that I've already outlined for you. Here's, at a glance, it's almost what the youth say in case you missed it. This is also for the viewing public. This is a summary page that I did intentfully so that people watching or people who watch it later can say, he said a lot, but what is he going to be measuring? So here we are with the summary page that outlines everything I just said to you. So it talks about what strategic priorities connected to, the focus area, as well as the key outcome. What I hope that you will become familiar with is everything will be tying back to strategic plan. So that's why it's outlined the way you see it on the screen. And I will stop there because I am finished and see if there are any questions.
Any questions? I'm sorry, it's school committee questions only. Any questions from the school committee? Don Lamothe.
Yes, I see the goals that you're putting forward. Can you give the school committee what the metrics currently are so that we can see the growth as it comes?
Yep. So you're going to get that in the coming weeks. So Ms. Belleville, I know the state of schools usually took on that turn in the past, but what we're doing is you're going to get an update on what our metrics were so that you can actually know what I'm working from. So that's coming. And that can also be provided to you via email as well, if that's preferable.
One of the things that you said that concerns me, and it's not you, it's the system, is when I got on the school committee 24 years ago, we heard how great we're doing. Oh, our internal metrics show we're doing fantastic. And then MCAS came along. And guess what? We weren't doing so fantastic. So how are you going to make one jive against the other so that you can say where we're at?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what I can tell you is that the question 2 passing last year already kicked that forward for us, meaning since MCAS is not tied to competencies determination any longer, that's one of the reasons why I don't feel comfortable using MCAS in essence. One of the pieces of information that we recently received from our Urban Superintendents Network was that the state was looking at all the urbans as a conglomerate. So there are about 33 districts in the state of Massachusetts that are identified as urban. And Chicopee is one of them. And one of the things that our associate commissioner was communicating with us was that they saw the changes once question 2 passed and how it showed up in 10th grade testing, as well as students on task time in certain questions. So what we are realizing that what we're basically going back to is what I discussed, which is the internal benchmarks, the system that we should have in place that looks at our data 3 times a year that should give us a good projection of what we should be doing on MCAS. So that's why I will say that that information will be given in Ms. Belleville's presentation, but also I can put it in a summary page so that you can actually have it to refer to, not just you, but everyone. And also we can put it out there to answer the stigma that is out there when people do say to me, what are you talking about? We've been doing well. And I'm like, okay. One of the things is it's not about doing well in comparison to another school. It's about doing well in comparison to what you're doing in your own building. So looking at that data and actually drilling down to say what we call criterion levels to really understand how are certain groups in your building doing? How are certain subjects in your building doing? And our benchmark system gives us a better picture of that versus MCAS. So I have no problem summarizing that, and I will work with Ms. Belleville's team to actually produce that, because I'm confident you're going to hear it in the presentation, because that's what I'm working from. But I also can give something as almost like a cheat sheet too, so that the viewing public could understand this is why we're doing what we're doing.
The other part of that is with the MCAS, when they first started taking it 24 years ago, it didn't count for graduation requirement.
Correct.
A lot of kids put their head on the desk and didn't bother to fill out the rest of the exam.
Correct.
So we're going to have kids still taking the exam, but are they going to have the due diligence to actually take the exam?
I hear you. We definitely are thinking about creative ways to make sure that students and parents and those loved ones who support our kids understand that it's still a part of the accountability index formula for school districts. So we can't get away from that, unfortunately, even though it's not tied to graduation any longer. No, I'm saying it for the viewing public. I know you get it.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
All set, Don?
Yes.
Deanna Russo.
Yeah, I just had 2 questions, but appreciate the detail and the metrics to track to and move forward with for the whole district. But the first was on the word audit, which I think was used twice, related to instruction and also resource equity. So it sounded like the instructional was both a hybrid of internal, external audit. Is the resource equity more of an internal benchmark type
That's
review?
for resources around equitable resources and management, number 5 you're speaking of? That's external.
Okay.
That's intentionally external.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure that's something like as part of this or separate, we would hear the results of those audits and how we intend to implement that.
100%. When we get the results, I intend to share them with the community, yourselves as well, and how we're going to use it moving forward.
Okay. And then the other one was on surveys, and just in particular, survey fatigue and survey participation.
Yeah.
So I think goals 1, 2, and 4 all reference some sort of survey. So I just wanted to make sure we're reaching the right people and we're getting the right responses. So I was curious as when one, are we going to be able to see the results of those surveys? And with that, will we see like numbers, demographics, just to make sure that it's like actual valuable data points with just the amount of surveys that I know are circulated?
Absolutely. So Ms. Belville actually spoke with me about this, and I actually gave her literally almost the same question. So I'm smiling at her because I'm like, clearly she foresaw this question. Mm-hmm. What I will say to that is yes, so for survey fatigue is real. And so a lot of the surveys we currently already do are the ones I want to target, because I looked at the components where actually two birds, one stone, if you will. So that's why I mentioned Panorama. We have Vocal. We have a list of surveys that already come out through state efforts. And I think that there's a conversation around that where I didn't want to stray away from that because we've been doing it for X amount of years. So to say I want to abandon that and start a whole new survey was one of my fears. However, to get at some of the other two, like the other two values, for example, that is why I do want to look at like when strategically to give another survey to actually pay attention to how we are going to be capturing those values. There's a way to tweak certain surveys that we are giving out, so that's what I'll be working with Ms. Cruiser, and I would say oh my gosh, Ms. Tenzar, because that's who oversees our Panorama survey, so that we can actually drill down and look at the questions to see, look, we can get the information from there, but also to speak about really who we are capturing, because our numbers have ebbed and flowed throughout the couple of years that we've been giving the survey. So really saying to the public, like, we are using this, and I have a vested effort, right? Like, I really am saying that not only me, but it is tied to goals. And so the thing about that is we would need to look at who we're hitting and who is not responding and why, and maybe I need to think about another effort to get that clientele. So that's part of what the internal audit of that work will be looking like, but as far as the resources, that's external.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know there was quite the effort made with the strategic plan to make sure voices were heard, so I just wanted to make sure that was also
100%.
continuing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comment? Grace Schofield.
Just kind of piggybacking on what Ms. Russo said, I really appreciate how the hundreds of voices that were involved in the strategic learning plan, were heard, and then how you captured and focused on and tied into your goals, aligned with the plan. That said, with just one comment, and I voiced my opinion last night about this. We have math and ELA. I want science at some point in time to be part of the plan. But that said, moving forward, I'd like to make a motion that the committee as a whole accepts Dr. Ware's goals.
So we have a motion to accept Dr. Ware's goals. Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy? Yes. Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Perrette?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
12 yes.
Motion carries. Next up, visitors, Jennifer Belville, District Review and Accountability. Thank you. Nice job, Dr. Ware. Thank you.
Good evening. So tonight I am going to report out on the district review, our demographics, our attendance, and our MCAS. You will hear the policy subcommittee update, and at the next meeting, I am going to address competency determination, graduation rates, and I will include some of the benchmark data in that presentation at our next committee meeting. So just to start with where we are for enrollment. So as you can see, we ended the school year of 24-25 with 6,755 students. We are currently working on our October 1st submission. Districts have until December to verify that data. But as of October, our current enrollment here in Chicopee is 6,625 students. We do recognize that our enrollment is declining, but I do want to remind everyone that part of that decline has to do with we had many students in the shelters and the hotels that have since closed down, and we are seeing that across the board in a lot of our data. So with that, one of the key points is if you notice our English language learners, we have our 24-25 where we ended and where we are in October right now. So we are about in the 8th percentile. That is a decrease of currently approximately 50 students less that are English language learners in our schools. We also, for first language, not English, our SLIFE students and our newcomers, we actually are seeing a dramatic decrease of about 50% in our schools at this moment in time. But as you see with the 5-year trend, we have seen a significant increase in multilanguage learners, as well as our students with disabilities. From 2019 to where we are currently, we have seen an increase of approximately 225 students on IEPs. More importantly, I do just want to highlight too that high needs number of in 2019, 61.8% to 72.2%. To put that into perspective, that's an increase of 690 students who are in high needs. So our demographics have changed, the needs of our students have changed, and we're definitely seeing that across the board in pre-K all the way into our 18 and 22 program. So our comprehensive district review, as the committee was made aware, the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Office of District Review and Monitoring reviews approximately 20 school districts each year. Last year was our school year, so that was conducted by DESE and their partner, the American Institute for Research. The purpose is to really come in and to evaluate the district on its systems, identify areas of improvement, let us know where we're going well, and they really focus on leadership and governance, curriculum and instruction, assessment, human resources and professional development, student support, financial and asset management. The undertaking last spring in April when we did the review was quite the undertaking. We had to submit several documents, on-site visits, we had focus groups, we had interviews, we had classroom visits, as well as there was a lot of data triangulation. I would like to thank Mary Colburn, who is with us tonight, because she was instrumental in really making sure that we had all of our data and it got to the state so that we could have a very comprehensive review. With that, over 130 stakeholders were interviewed. Some of you were interviewed. I know the mayor was interviewed, our school leaders, our district leaders, families, our students, our teachers, all participated, as well as they visited 143 classrooms when they were on site. So we just received this 111-page report, which will be on the website by the end of the week. But to summarize it, I wanted to talk about some of our key themes. So they found a lot of really high-level highlights. They found that we are a collaborative, we're a strategically focused district. We have strong leadership alignment. We have transparent budgeting. At the point when they came, we were still in the process of creating our strategic plan, and there's a strong commitment to stakeholder engagement. Our focus areas, obviously, reducing chronic absenteeism, addressing student mental health and behavioral needs, improving consistency in our data use across all of our schools, as well as strengthening our elementary curriculum implementation. And I will speak to that a little further. So in leadership and government, They really highlighted the relationship between the superintendent and the school committee, and that is a very collaborative relationship. They were very impressed by the strategic plan that we were working on and would soon be rolling out, as well as the stakeholder feedback. The community forums that Dr. Ware has committed to, that he started when he entered, that he is continuing in the next coming weeks. I believe he has them coming up, as well as trying to get more voice from our community. They talked about our inconsistent instructional leadership team practices. This was not a surprise for us, as our elementaries were in their first year of implementing instructional leadership teams, and so that was a new practice for them. Our parent engagement in our advisory councils, our special education advisory, as well as our English learner parent advisory council. We really are struggling, especially with our English Language Parent Advisory Council. Cindy Shonigal, our Director of Multilanguage Learners, spoke of that even in a meeting today, of that families are nervous to come and to engage. We also, it was highlighted our recruitment and our retention for a diverse staff. For the areas of curriculum and instruction, our curriculum selection and alignment, along with our curriculum committees. As you know, we have a very structured review system. We try to get a lot of voice in that, as well as we've been working very, very hard for alignment around standards. Our instructional coaches, which now I can officially say we have in all buildings except Zatella, and our commitment to advanced coursework and the opportunities that we provide our students. Our focus areas were really around that instructional vision. So what that means is that true multi-tiered system of support. What does Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 supports look like for our students? As well as that elementary curriculum review and expectations and supplemental materials. I want to remind everybody that we are 6+ years in with our math curriculum, and we're over 4 years in with our CKLA ELA curriculum. One of the items that we're working on with our coaches this year is when I started 2.5 years ago, and we then had the high school curriculum adoption, we started building district expectations and rolling them out with curriculums. We did not do that for our elementary curriculums, and so we're going back and really working on some of those district-wide expectations, as well as what we need for supplemental materials, as we're seeing gaps in our standards. For assessment, they highlighted that we have a wide range of academic and non-academic data that you just heard Dr. Ware speak of. We have a lot of district-level data use. We have grading systems in place. However, we need to improve the use of that data and make it more consistent across all of our buildings and with all of our staff. For human resources and professional development, we do offer a lot of professional development opportunities. We're trying to expand that greatly this year. We offer a lot of support for our unlicensed staff. As the committee knows, each year we struggle with licensure and people who are on waivers, and assisting them to make sure that they get properly licensed, and that we have consistent expectations and processes for evaluations for teachers. So we do have an educator evaluation committee that is comprised of Unit A, Unit B, and administrative staff, that we really look at our systems, streamlining those systems. Dr. Stoller and I did a little road show this year for all of every staff meeting to talk about the purpose around evaluation and to make sure that the processes are streamlined. Our focus area is around streamlining the policies regarding staff investigations and disciplinary actions. I know that Ms. Green out of HR has really worked on our employee handbook, our hiring processes manuals, and really doing a lot of education for our staff around this, as well as evaluator calibration. For student support, they highlighted our FACE team, which we know, our Family and Community Engagement, is doing a phenomenal job. They also are community partnerships with River Valley Counseling, our Care Solace, our work with the food bank, as well as our student leadership opportunities at our middle and high schools. Obviously, the focus areas was reducing chronic absenteeism, continuing the work around restorative practices, which I know Ms. Cruiser's office spends a lot of time on, as well as those multi-tiered systems of support and district-wide expectations around those. For financial and asset management, they recognize that we have a transparent and inclusive budgeting practice, that we have strategic grant management, we have clear systems for maintenance, food service, and our asset inventory. At that time, we were still working on a capital improvement plan, as well as they would like to see more financial alignment to the DESI function codes, and I know that's something that Mr. Mayarecki has talked about and is definitely working on. So with that, I'm going to kind of tie all of that in the end as I present to you on accountability. But what I will say is after reading a 111-page report and seeing all the strengths and areas to grow, I will say in some regards it was refreshing. It was refreshing to be recognized for the work that we have been doing and to know that we are on track with the work of where we are going, because many of the areas that they did recognize as areas of growth are areas that are focus areas for us for this year. So in diving deep into our accountability data, I want to address the question around the requirement of MCAS participation. So you will see in the first reading of the policies that it was part of, we cannot put passing as a requirement, but in our previous policy from last year, as you know, we had to shift and pivot, we had listed that students sat for it as part of the competency determination. When the state came out with the guidance in July, we had to shift and pivot again. There are two policies for the first reading in front of you tonight. However, we did put that sitting for the MCAS was part of the graduation requirement, that they would just need to take it. As Dr. Ware alluded to, is that there was a significant impact across the state of Massachusetts with question 2, and the state saw those results as well as we saw those results. They, when we were at our urban meeting, they really did talk about the amount of time students took on the test was much less than we had seen in the past. They talked about that the questions that were off task tripled from the previous year. So those are things that we recognize, but MCAS data is still a point in time, and we still are held to accountability. With accountability, we still need to have 95% of our students sit for the MCAS, or we are dinged from that by the state of Massachusetts. So in kind of diving in, as you know, there are two scores that we see for MCAS. We see an accountability percentage, and it compares our buildings to like schools, as well as we see a percentage which is progress towards improvement targets. We have spent a lot of time looking at those improvement targets because that is how a building is being compared to itself. Dr. Ware and I met with every single building principal this year and really dived really deep into their data and talked to them about their next steps. The accountability system considers, to refresh our memory, the results, so the academic achievement results for ELA, math, and science. It looks at the student growth percentiles, which is how students improve year to year, as well as our high school completion. So that's our 4-year graduation rate, our annual dropout rate. I do want to highlight from a district level, the district as a whole exceeded its target for the annual dropout rate for this year. For the progress towards English proficiency, so this is how students who are English language learners are meeting those targets to gain full English proficiency in 6 years. we did meet our target as an entire district. For chronic absenteeism, our attendance improved significantly, and we did exceed our target as a district as well. And then for advanced coursework completion, I just want to highlight again, we exceeded our target as a whole. So, and part of why I really want to share that with you is we can get really stuck in the numbers, and the numbers can be really defeating. And so the numbers tell one story, but it's really the story that's behind that number and all of the pieces that make up to it when you delve into the data of the work that we're doing. And so those are targets that as a whole the district gets, and then each individual building gets a target as well. So here are our accountability percentiles. So this is between 1 and 99. This is how our schools are rated against like schools in Massachusetts. Obviously, our numbers were discouraging this year. There was a decline across many of our schools. But as you peeled back the layers of that number, there were some real highlights in there around the chronic absenteeism. Even around some of our achievement, we saw some great science achievement in our elementary schools. We didn't see that correlate in our high schools. But I also want to recognize we saw significant growth at both Bow and Stefanik, and they had some real celebrations this year around their data, and I want to recognize that because they are doing some really great things, and we've talked about what can we do in other buildings that they're doing for similar structures. With that, I know the question is always around Chicopee High School. We are still being supported by the statewide system of support for this year. So there is also we get a criterion reference with where we're being compared to ourselves. How have we made progress? Are we meeting or exceeding our targets? Do we have substantial progress? As a district across the whole, we are not requiring assistance. We are making progress towards our targets. However, for our individual buildings, this is what this came down to. The majority are either making moderate progress towards their targets or substantial progress towards their targets. And as a district, we're moderate progress. So we did continue to see, did I go backwards? Nope, sorry. We did continue to struggle with our achievement gaps around students with disabilities and English language learners. That continues to be a significant issue for us. We did see a lot of growth in that English language proficiency, but we're not seeing that correlate into academic achievement yet. So that is something that the district is monitoring. However, with the metrics that we have, we did see significant increase in students' access scores, as well as specifically at our middle schools, we saw significant growth for our English language learners. As you know, we implemented English 3D, which went along with our HMH curriculum this past year, and they were very intentional and purposeful around the structure for our English language learners. So our hope is that we will continue to see that progress. So to share with you where we are currently with attendance, so this is where we ended last year. As you can see, for October of this year, we're still at 94.9% attendance. Last October, when I was standing here giving this presentation, we were at 94.4%, so we're a little bit better this year, which is exciting. More importantly, for chronic absenteeism, obviously there is a significant decrease from 23-24 to last year. Right now we're at 14.3%. Last year when I was standing here, we were at 19.7%. We have a lot of initiatives going on around attendance. I know Ms. Cruiser's office, along with Katie Jeffrey, and our attendance teams and our FACE teams are spending a lot of time really getting our students here. So these are our attendance rates by school of how we ended for last year. You can see where we were, as well as the chronic absenteeism rate. Chicopee Academy had some huge successes around their attendance and their reduction of chronic absenteeism. The effects of chronic absenteeism. I'm sure you know this. If they're not here, we can't teach them. And so this, to me, was very eye-opening in the sense of looking at it from a scaled score, meaning an academic achievement, or even looking at the percentage of students who are meeting or exceeding expectations. The difference between students who are not chronically absent to students who are chronically absent, there is anywhere from a 10 to 22% differential because they're not here, they're not getting their academics. We see the higher percentages definitely when grade 10. That 22 stands out significantly for ELA because we know by grade 10, if you're chronically absent in grade 10, you've probably been chronically absent at other points in your career. So what are we doing with the data? I have included all of the data for you. I'm not going to go through all of the data slides. The data is on the DESE website. I've broken it down for you. But more importantly, I can't break down the data for every piece, every subgroup, for every school, or I would be here all night. But what are we doing with the data? So we have a strategic plan. We are really working on our strategic plan, the next steps of our strategic plan. Our instructional leadership teams, so we're in year 2 at our elementary schools, as well as our middle schools and high schools, which have traditionally had them. Everyone is participating in learning walks. We're instructionally focused. We are looking at data. We're putting systems and supports into place. We have changed up our curriculum leadership meetings. So in the past, we had instructional coaches really highlighted on ELA or math. This year, with the help of Christina Pina and Kim Ehrlich in my office, we are having meetings with instructional coaches and building leaders and really diving deep into not only data, curriculum expectations, how we're using the data, platforms, anything from committees we need to have. So we are meeting monthly with them and really charging everyone with an instructional focus for the year. We have common planning time at our high schools. That is rolled out schedule-wise for this year. We have reviewed and improved the timelines around high school scheduling. You will be seeing the program of studies much earlier this year. Part of that is the intent so that we are scheduling more effectively, specifically around our multilanguage learners, our students with disabilities, making sure we have the right supports where they are needed for next year. We standardize instructional scheduling time for our elementary schools, meaning that they are required to have set minutes around English language arts, mathematics, as well as science and social studies. Tony Kuchar, our instructional our instructional technology director, along with Christina Pina, who works a lot with our data, built a graduation tracker, and it is super impressive. It is a one-stop shop. It can show a counselor, it can show an administrator, where students are towards graduation requirements, competency requirements, what they're missing, if we have attendance issues, and the high schools are really utilizing that, as well as we have a data hub that they're utilizing for academic and for attendance purposes. We have rolled out an intervention tracker at our elementary schools, so really to track all interventions that students are getting and to see growth that students are getting, because why are we continuing with intervention if students aren't moving? We still have the statewide system of support, as well as we're working on providing more robust professional development. This year, we've been doing a lot of professional development on the inclusion model for special education. We also rolled out a social studies curriculum for K to 5, as well as we implemented iReady for grades 6 through 8, and our elementary schools are piloting that in mathematics. We're in our second year of an English language learner curriculum. Our biology curriculum implementation at the high school. So I need to stop and share a quick story about common planning and our biology curriculum and the importance of common planning. I happened to be on a learning walk recently at one of our high schools and was in a biology classroom, and I was beyond amazed. 100% of the students were absolutely engaged in a lesson, and it was a room full of multilanguage learners, students with special, who needed specially designed instruction on IEPs. And I stopped the teacher, which I wouldn't typically do, and I asked her, "Is this lesson from our biology curriculum?" And she said, and she was so excited to tell me about it, she said, "In common planning time, as a biology team, we were looking at our new curriculum and realized that this particular standard, the way the biology curriculum taught it, our students aren't going to understand it right away. And so we knew as a team we needed to supplement for our students to understand first before we went into a deeper level thinking. And as a team, we met together and found a really engaging, high-level activity that we were all going to implement." And I want you to know, I walked out of the room and I thought to myself, that's a win. That is the purpose of common planning time. That is why it is so important, and for teachers to have that collaboration time to plan those engaging lessons that are meeting the standards. So we are doing also a K-5 math review this year. We rolled out elementary science expectations. So as you know, we have STEAM classrooms. We really rolled out and focused on standards. What is a STEAM teacher responsible for? And what is a classroom teacher responsible for, so that we are making sure we are hitting all science standards at our elementary levels. We're continuing to develop common expectations across all of our buildings. We also have the focus on attendance coming out of Ms. Cruiser's office, as well as the expansion of the FACE team, the community outreach. Ms. Cruiser is spending a lot of time with rethinking discipline. I know she loves those words, and restorative practices, as well as Ms. Cruiser and I are doing a lot to look at improving and expanding our opportunities for credit recovery. We recently just received a grant for Campus Without Walls. And we're looking at our summer activities as well as our February and April activities and what we can be doing after school to provide opportunities for our students. Ms. Green's worked hard on our employee handbook, our hiring manual. We have our educator evaluation committee. We've enhanced our mentoring program. Kim Ehrlich leads the charge with that, and we have a lot for our induction, one-to-one mentors. We have building mentors and trying to provide a lot of supports for our new teachers. We provide licensure support, as well as we've really expanded our ELMS partnership. I was actually on with ELMS earlier today. So we have a phenomenal partnership where we can offer really low-cost courses for our staff in order to get their degree and helping getting their licensure. Mr. Mayarecki is spending a lot of time on our budget focus and our needs-based budgeting. And so we're doing a lot. We're moving forward. I look forward to sharing a lot of our benchmark data as we move forward. But at this time, do you have any questions?
Questions or comments? Thank you, Assistant. Oh, Sonny, you have a question?
Yes, just one quick one. The presentation was excellent. What are we doing to get the parents more involved? Because we know if the parents aren't involved, the kids, they're not involved. Do we have something set up where we have whether it's a person that handles just that type of thing, parental involvement with the students?
So, as you know, we have Parent Square. So Mr. Kuchar has worked with our principals to really promote Parent Square. I believe we're in the 90 percentile, somewhere around that. Don't quote me on the exact number. I could get it for you, of the number of families that we have signed up and engaged with that. With that, as you remember, in the spring, I rolled out the new report card that we are doing at our elementary level. We have information packets for families in multiple languages that will be sent home with them with the report cards to really start to engage in conversations around academics. I know all of our FACE teams at our buildings are really trying to find ways to engage our families. We've had some really great events where folks are coming in. I know one of the big events at Lambert Lavoie is Books for Bingo, where we're trying to invite families in and really focus around either academics, getting them involved in a low-key way to engage, as well as to put resources out that are family-friendly. Christina Pina has done an amazing job in my office of really kind of laying out what that new report card looks like and what it means in layman's term and not edge-speak, so that a parent could really understand that. So we're doing a lot. I do know that I've been speaking with especially our middle school and high school principals as we're finishing the first quarter. And as you know, we have a new retention policy of really making sure we're looking at the data and identifying any student who is failing a course in the first quarter, and what are we doing to engage a family, turn around those academics, so that we're not in June saying, we have a lot of students who aren't moving forward. So we're really trying, as well as I know Mr. Lamath, as well as Mrs. Figueroa Fasoli, have talked about how are we going to send messaging to parents around MCAS and the importance of taking MCAS and what that means, even from an academic standpoint of MCAS is still tied to the Abigail and John Adams Scholarship and the opportunities that provides for our students, and making sure that families know how important that is.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Or Deanna Russo.
Yep. Thank you for making those 111 pages more digestible. It was very helpful. I think this is an important question to ask just following Dr. Ware's presentation, but with a lot of these focus areas, I think it seemed similar to the conversation we just had, but I wanted to make sure that our goals are in alignment with what DESE had reflected on areas of improvement for the district. So.
They're 100% in alignment. If you look at our strategic plan and the recommendations from DESE, you can mold them perfectly, as well as for Dr. Ware's goals, especially around our academic achievement, our multilingual learners, chronic absenteeism, our systems and structures, and supports in the district. But they really complemented each other in many ways.
That's great. Seems like our strategic committee had good insights on the district as well then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamath.
Question?
Yeah.
Oh.
Back to the MCAS question.
Yes.
In our policy, it's going to say that they have to take the test or they have to complete the test.
So we talked about this language. This was actually a really interesting language, and I forget what we landed on. Attorney Bouchard, do you happen to have it right there? Because first we had that they were sitting for it, and then we changed it to maybe completed.
We did change it to complete.
Thank you.
So we did put complete. We wanted soft language, but language so that they're going to take it seriously. But I think also some of that is around the communication that we have as adults with students and the importance of that, because they seem to take our benchmark testing very seriously. And so we know if they can do it there, they should be able to transfer that skill over to MCAS, but I think sometimes it's how we message it to our students and them understanding the why behind it.
I looked at the metrics that you put up for the schools from 19 to now, and we got some red. And the red looks like it progresses all the way up through into high school, which would make sense. Through COVID, you've had losses that are now filtering through. At what point are we going to be, that red wave going to go away from COVID?
I wish I could tell you tomorrow, but it takes time. I think our benchmarks, we're accurately catching students. I think we also, as a district, really need to focus on our Tier 1 instruction for all students and realize that we should have high expectations for all of our students. And what does scaffolding look like? And what does it look like to provide supports? I think we sometimes do a really great job with our Tier 2 and our Tier 3 supports, but you can't Tier 2, Tier 3 your way out of a Tier 1 problem. And therefore, it starts with our Tier 1 instruction, and I think that's really going to be our focus area. It's easy to look at just kind of some of those, oh, this one needs this one needs this, and try to close those gaps. We shouldn't have those gaps to start with if we are really focusing on our Tier 1 instruction.
And my last question goes to attendance.
Yes.
We're looking at student attendance and we're improving, which is terrific. Are we looking at staff attendance and are we improving?
So interestingly, you say that.
If the students aren't in front of the teacher, they can't learn. But if the teacher's not in front of the students, they can't learn.
So I understand, and I agree with you, Mr. Lamoth. The state this year has released staff attendance for the first time. I know it is a big area for Desi, the commissioner, and it is something that we do recognize and that we do look at, and I know that administrators do have conversations.
I mean, the next part is to look at what can we do to improve it as far as some sort of recognition or some sort of reward. But during COVID, a lot of people, when they had a sniffle, they didn't come to school because of COVID, and I get it. I totally get it. We're past COVID now. Granted, you still can get it. You can still get the flu. But at what point do we start taking their attendance serious too? That's all.
I understand.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I want to thank you for that presentation, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you.
We'll move on with the agenda. It's approval of minutes 25-11-1.
Move that the minutes of the regular meeting of the school committee held on October 15th, 2025 be approved.
Don, could I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Reports 25-11-2.
Personnel action taken and professional development. I'd like to invite Ms. Green up to the podium for an update.
Welcome, Deb.
Good evening, everyone. Today's personnel report covers October 9th through October 22nd. Your total new hires are 17. 4 of those come in Unit A, 4 of those come in Unit E. We have boosted our substitute pool by 8, and 1 of those is in the cafeteria. We had 7 resignations and 1 retirement. As of yesterday afternoon, we have 40 active postings on PowerSchool, and by way of putting that in perspective, 6 of those are always up there. They're for our substitutes, for bus monitors, noon attendants, crossing guards, and our 3 types of substitutes. So that being said, 34 active open positions, 12 of those are Unit A, 7 in special ed, including SLP, school psychs, a BCBA, inclusion teacher, and a TAPS teacher. 7 of those are in Unit E, 4 in special ed. That also includes a behavior tech and an assistant teacher. 1 nurse position is posted. There are long-term substitute positions posted in ELA and physical education. 3 building assigned substitutes. Those are permanent substitute positions in a building at Bellamy, Bow, and Comp, so at each level. 6 food service positions, 1 family and school engagement liaison, and 2 coaches positions in swimming are open. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ware.
Thank you, Ms. Green. I just confirmed that there was a retirement, but then they actually changed their date. So you do not see it in your packet. You'll see it in the future.
Thank you. Sandra, do you have some continuing ed you wanted to share?
Yes, we had multiple day conferences. We had 33 staff members attending 12 different programs. with titles such as the Bay State Association for Behavioral Analyst and Theory. In Worcester, we had School Nutrition Association Fall Conference. We had the MCAS Alternative Webinar in Writing and the MCAS Alternative Webinar in Science. We had Kindergarten Transition, the Mass Association for Health, PE, Recreation, and Dance. We had Safety Care Trainer Retraining. And then we had yesterday, the 4th of November was a staff development day throughout the schools, which had a listing of programs.
Thank you. All set?
Yes, thank you.
Jay Doubt.
Yeah, just I guess for the viewing public, I just want to point out, that as we're continuing on with contract negotiations and everything, looking at the resignations, out of the 7 resignations, 5 of them were with the district for 2 months or less. So, I just want to point that out, that when we talk about our, the amazing staff that we have and the retention of staff, that, to have 5 out of 7 people and nobody on the list who has been with us for more than 1 year and 3 months does show that we're doing something right there. So I just want to kind of point that out, that, those numbers are low and that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McCarthy.
Just on the topic of professional development, I mentioned to Dr. Ware, and I just want to reiterate to the public and my peers here that I had made the commitment not to attend the conference next week, not being reelected, which was the case. So from what I understand, it's easier to transfer the registration than necessarily finagle another way out of it. Not sure what the outcomes will be, but I do want to encourage my fellow committee members to consider the opportunity to attend the MASC conference next week.
Thank you. 25-11-3.
Report from the Policy and Human Resources Subcommittee. I will
defer to Jay.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Policy and Human Resources Subcommittee did meet on Wednesday, October 22nd. At this meeting, we did discuss the graduation policy as well as competency determination. The committee will probably remember recently we have revised our graduation policy. However, we are asking for additional revisions aligning with MASC model policies as always, and really separating out that competency determination. Tonight, as we know, is the first reading of these policies, so there won't be any questions, but if there are any questions or concerns about these policies, as the chair of the committee, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. That is the report of the Policy Committee.
Thank you. Any other questions or conversation about policy? We'll move on to 25-11-4.
move that the first reading of the following policies from the October 22nd, 2025 Policy Subcommittee be approved. A, graduation policy, IKF. B, competency determination, IKFE.
Sonny, can I get a motion?
A motion to approve the first reading of the policy.
Motion to approve the first reading of the policy. So there will be no discussion. It's a first reading, correct?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Move on to new business 25-11-5.
Move that the bills warrant S103125 totaling $945,646.61 be approved.
Dr. Mark McCarthy, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Jay, could you read the warrants into the official record, please?
I can. Tonight, my job is very easy. We have one warrant on the agenda tonight, so I'll read the total of that one warrant, and then we'll vote on it. For general expenses, $37,966. Grants, $415,544. Transportation, $492,135. And that is it for a grand total of $945,646.
So we have a motion to approve. Any discussion or comments on the warrant? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call, please.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo? Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Perrette?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
12 yes.
Motion carries. 25-11-6.
Move that the member. Oh, I apologize.
Excuse me, Dr. Ware. Can I just interrupt for a moment, please? Did you lose my name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I haven't voted.
Oh,
on
I'm
the-
sorry, Mr. Brooks.
Oh, yes.
Okay, 12 yes.
Thank you.
Now that's 12 yes. Thank you, Sonny.
My pleasure.
25-11 I'm sorry, 12 yes. Motion passes. 25-11-6.
Move that the memorandum of understanding between the Chicopee Education Association, Unit E, the CEA, and the Chicopee School Committee, the district, regarding professional development training be approved.
Susan, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Any discussion or comments? Dr. Ware?
Yes, just for the viewing public, this is a memorandum of agreement that was reached between the CEA and the district around the vector training that happened at the beginning of the year and compensating units, Unit E paraprofessionals who there was a miscalculation in how much they get received when they do the training outside of their work hours. So we caught the error and came up with a memorandum of agreement, and that's what's presented in front of you this evening.
Any other discussion or comments on the memorandum of agreement? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call, please.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Doubt? Oh,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Doubt. Mrs. Perrette?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
12 yes.
Motion carries. Executive session.
Move that the school committee adjourn into executive session pursuant to MGL C30A S 21A2 to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, Assistant Superintendent for Instruction Accountability, pursuant to MGL C30A S 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, Chicopee Education Association, Unit A, teachers, Unit B, administrators, Unit E, paraprofessionals, and United Food and Commercial Workers Unions, school nurses, not to reconvene in open session. The chair declares that executive session is necessary to protect the bargaining position of the committee.
So we have a motion to head into executive session. I want to thank the viewing audience. We will not be returning, like he had mentioned, to open session. And we'll take a roll call, please.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes? Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Perrette?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
12 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you again for joining us.